This is not looking great for Suns fans as they just lost another game without Kevin Durant and are now 1-8 without their superstar MVP as they fall to the Miami Heat in this one with some lacking defensive efforts. And the ultimate question is arising. Do the Suns need to be healthy, need to have Kevin Durant, need to have Yusuf Nurkic to look great? Or are there some needed changes that need to happen with this squad for them to be a championship contender? We're going to be diving into all of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. And you guys have been absolutely fantastic. I really do appreciate all the love and support you guys have been showing us on the video. So keep continuing to hit the like button, keep continuing to hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I said in the introduction, this is absolutely rough and just very, very disheartening to see as the Suns once again fall without Kevin Durant. And I feel like I'm just repeating myself and repeating myself and repeating myself when I say this, but it is just been absolutely disastrous. The Suns, when fully healthy with Kevin Durant, with this team, look great. But even with Beal and Booker being front loading this team without Durant, it is just lost. And yes, there are other injuries added to this. Ryan Dunn obviously not being in the contest. Obviously, Yusuf Nurkic being out with a hamstring injury definitely limits the Suns' front court. But there are a multitude of issues with this team at this moment, and we're going to be looking at all of them in this video. So first, like I mentioned in the introduction, we can look at the box score from this game, and the Suns did not play that great. They did have some great offensive spurts, and the offense is not the issue, but Devin Booker hasn't had the really step up level that you would like to see him take over when Kevin Durant is out, as we haven't really seen it that much. We see Tyus Jones play really effective for this team. Bradley Beal has had some good shooting nights for the Suns team, maybe not the best tonight. And then we obviously see players like Monte Morris and Royce O'Neal really appreciate and understand what they need to do as they come through and deliver. But ultimately, when looking at this roster, when looking at this team, there are going to be some needed changes that are going to happen. If we want to look and kind of dissect some more stuff, saw this on Twitter. The 2024 Utah Jazz and Washington Wizards this season are tied for the worst defensive rating in NBA history at a 120.4. The Suns are in their 9 games without Kevin Durant have a 124.2 defensive rating, which is not far off, which is very, very scary for a team that, when healthy, when looking good, is at the top of the league. So if you've seen this injury bug around last season, around this season, and you continuing to see it at the beginning of the year, what makes you think that by the playoffs, this is just going to magically disappear? And if it doesn't disappear and you're in the playoffs, then there's some issues. Also, can look at from Suns are better. I hope the Suns front office has watched these games and has come to the realization that the size issue needs to be addressed one way or another. That's the most glaring flaw on display with Durant out, and you just can't simply survive in this league without a roster constructed like this. Now, I do definitely agree. Whoops, hit the wrong button there. I do definitely agree with all these takes, and as you guys can tell from our videos, we have kind of said this on the channel, but I think there are going to be some necessary changes and some things that are going to be happening with this team, because even if, right, you have Kevin Durant on this roster, and even if you're a top tier team with Kevin Durant, if you are 1-8 without your best player, as we can see from John Voita, courtesy of Suns Jam and Bright Side of the Sun, we know that that is a glaring issue. If you look at a team, obviously, if you look at the Denver Nuggets, they have, one of the better players in the NBA and not really the best selective squad, so I don't want to count them. But if you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, for example, if they didn't have LeBron James or Anthony Davis for a couple games, they would be able to win a couple contests. You look at the Celtics, you look at the Knicks, you look at teams like the Bucks, they would be able to win. Maybe not the Bucks as much as they've been dealing with injuries, but you look at the Magic, a team with Paolo Banchero, they lost their best player. Franz Wagner has stepped up. You look at a team like the Hawks, they don't play Trae Young in their play-in game, and they come and beat the Boston Celtics in an upset. There are times where teams can come through and deliver and win games and really, really step up and showcase that they can take bigger and roles. And unfortunately for this Suns team, we haven't seen that click at all. We've seen one game where they've won without Kevin Durant, and we all know what that game is. That game is versus the Utah Jazz, which is the worst team in the Western Conference. And you want to know what team the Suns lost to? the second worst team just a couple days ago when they played the New Orleans Pelicans. I know people in my last video were, oh, the Pelicans are good. The Pelicans are, when healthy, they're supposed to be a top team, and I understand that. But the fact that they just got all their players back from injury, and the Suns still have had players like Booker and Beal still healthy, ready to go with other additive role players, and they still can't beat a team that has 4 wins with still injuries added onto it, as the Pelicans still aren't fully healthy with no Zion Williamson and no Jordan Hawkins. That is an issue for the Suns and something that needs to be desperately addressed before the trade deadline. Because if you're Matt Ishbia and you have said to the Suns fans that you want a championship winning team, you want a team that is going to go out there and compete for these rings this season, this is not a roster that can do it. I know you could say, oh, but when they have Kevin Durant, when they're healthy, they're a top team. Look at the beginning of the season. Yes, I understand that. But if you see the injuries happening in October, in November, and in December, what makes you think that the injuries are just going to magically stop in February and go away? They're not going to. They're going to continue to happen. And if the Suns know that these injuries are going to continue to happen, they need to have players that can step up and deliver when those injuries go down. And clearly on this roster, there are not enough guys that can do that. Veteran minimum contracts, players that do have significant roles that are on this team. And I know that I've talked about multiple trade options on this Suns channel, but there are going to be multiple videos coming out in the next couple days, weeks, talking all about that, because the Suns need to make, even if it's minor upgrades around the edges with some of these veteran minimum contracts, they need to do something at this trade deadline to make an impact. And the Suns have the ammunition to do it. And clearly on display from looking at these games, we need that to happen. Unfortunately, that's the reaction here. Let me know what you guys kind of think in the comment section, and that's kind of where I get to bring it to you. What do you guys think the Suns should do? Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. I know a lot of people have a lot of different reactions. There's some people that think that this Suns team, when fully healthy, can contend, so they're saying just wait it out for Nurk to come back, just wait for KD to come back, just be faithful, believe in this team. There's people that are also on the trade Devin Booker side of things, where they think Devin Booker has been playing absolutely atrocious this season, hasn't been stepping up, hasn't been delivering, and you can say that to a degree, that Devin Booker, with Kevin Durant out, hasn't taken that leap and hasn't been able to deliver. But there's also parts that go along with that. Devin Booker's offensive efficiency has been showing in most of those games, not guaranteed all of them, but you can't expect a player like Devin Booker to take all that load and be that guy when he hasn't been expected to when he plays alongside Kevin Durant. He is better as a second option, and that's what his role is. He is not going to be a first option for this team to take over and deliver like that. Bradley Beal has had his games going up and down, but he is a player that can stick it out as well. Now, there's people like myself who think that the Suns should kind of go around the edges. Maybe look at players like a glaring one in Jusuf Nurkic, who makes $18 million. And I know people are going to say, well, Nurkic is a negative asset. How are we going to trade him? How are we going to move off of him? Well, the Suns have draft picks. They have capital. And you might be saying, why trade away that 2031 pick? Well, guess what? If you want to win a championship, if you want to compete with Kevin Durant, you need to do that, or else what's going to happen is Durant is not going to want to extend with this team. Durant is not going to want to stay in Phoenix, as we have seen with Kevin Durant over the history of his NBA career. When he is not happy, when his team is not giving him great results, or if he is not satisfied, he is going to make it a decision, and he is in control. He left OKC to Golden State. He left Golden State to go to Brooklyn. He left Brooklyn to Phoenix. What's going to say that he's not going to make that decision to go from Phoenix if this team has a disappointing season once again, where he's clearly the top player and is still clearly a top tier player in the NBA? If not, if he was healthy and could qualify for games, would be in the MVP conversation. What's to stop him from demanding a trade once again and asking him to go to another team to try and win a championship? That's all I'm saying. That's where it's getting with the Suns. And if you ultimately want to keep the fans' hopes alive, if you want to keep these championship hopes alive, you have to build the best roster around Booker, Beal, and Kevin Durant, with Tyus Jones, keeping Grayson Allen, keeping Royce O'Neal, as all of those players have been key impacts for this Suns roster. And ultimately, after that, then you have to kind of explore some other options. I think Monte and Mason and Oso and Dunn as well obviously have guaranteed their stays with this Suns team. But players like Josh Okogie, players like Yusuf Nurkic, players in like Bol Bol who haven't gotten playing time that could be useful on young teams, and we could get a veteran back for him, all need to be looked at as tradable assets and need to be looked at by the Suns front office to be utilized to help get this roster back to winning. But I do want to sign off on some good news highlighting Royce O'Neal, because Royce O'Neal deserves the credit because he has been stepping up, delivering for this Suns team, and has been severely in very influential without Kevin Durant. And Durant, I made a video talking about Royce O'Neal. Durant realizes this, knew this from his days with the Nets. But like Amanda says, Royce O'Neal, obviously career high tonight for the Suns, 23 points. If we want to look at his stat line, courtesy of Real Sports, 23, 7, and 3 tonight for Royce O'Neal. 8 for 15 from the field with 5 threes. Now, obviously, plus minus of negative because the Suns' defense is absolutely atrocious. But the Suns, obviously lacking Ryan Dunn, that's a little bit of an issue to help out on the defensive side, but still need some help in that big man group. Need a reliable center that can play games and can stay healthy. Because I love Mason and I love Oso, but both of those guys cannot be starters if the Suns want to compete. And I feel like I'm a broken record saying that at this point. But like I said, let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel about this game, how you feel about the team, what you guys ultimately think. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me? What are the moves the Suns need to make? Who would you like to see the Suns go out and get? Drop some comments. We'll look at some, make some videos, and I got you guys. You guys have been absolutely great. Thank you guys so much for tuning into these videos, being so supportive. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your night, and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.